Hi Thomas, and let's break down your water animation. I think this looks quite good. I think it has a pretty cool idea. So there are a couple things that we can push. They're mostly design and a tiny bit of motion stuff. So design-wise, what we can push is the placement of the shadows and their logic. So this is placed dead center, which divides the design in two equal shapes, and I would try to avoid that as much as possible. And the second thing is that the foam moves, but it has no interaction with the shadow whatsoever. So it feels they're completely different elements that don't interact. So what we can do here is maybe as the foam and you water moves, it like distorts the shadow, or the shadow like is under the foam, maybe to show that the foam has volume, and maybe this is slightly overlapped and then it's getting revealed again. Or the shadow represents two things, like the shadow here is from the pipe itself, and the shadow here is like from the water having like some depths and maybe showing the transparency, and then there is maybe just not as much reflectivity here. So we can do things like that to make it feel more natural, to make it feel like it has more motion and change. So I think that's what we can do. And for the foam, the thing that we can mostly push in terms of the motion is that, again, it's a bouncing ball. So water is affected by gravity as much as everything else. And so what should happen to have a natural motion with it is that we should start a bit slower and then accelerate on the way down a bit. And so what we can do here is mostly clear, make the transition very clear as a design. So maybe it's more like stylized and it's covering like this area. Then it starts covering this area. And then kind of this area. And then this area. And then you see we need to keep accelerating. So it should become a bit faster, because right now our speed looks like this. So 1, 2, 3, fast, slower, bit faster, kind of the same, slower, and it was kind of faster. I don't know. So we need a more clear transition in terms of the speed to make it really sell the gravity of the water. So here we kind of have that a bit. And don't be afraid to give it a bit more volume. Also that depends on like the style, but you can give like some bigger changes in the volume if you want. Like here it's a very extreme example, but you can like change the outline a bit. So it has some of these nice bumps and more like transitions. They can be fairly subtle, but it's nice to have them. And if we do them, I would try, since it's a very simple style, I would try to make it more gradual. So not like this, but more like this. Make it to wrap around the volume, if possible. Or maybe, what can we get away with? Mm, simple they want to be. Maybe these are like bubbles or just stylized texture for cool factor. Can also do the highlights instead. And this probably is still better if it's placed more on the outside of the shape, because it needs to sit on top of the water rather than being like under it in a sense. Under the water, under the sea. This can be more directional rather than a perfect circle. More stretched out. So maybe something like this. A bit more texture, a bit more variety, a bit more stuff going on. And then if we want to, we can also do it differently. I would normally go like, okay, so this is the pipe. Then this is the water. Angle, cool, simple curve. Base. Is it more flat? Is it more curvy? Still more flat. A bit more pushed to the maybe left. Maybe it starts thinner and then it's thicker and faster. Then maybe it adds the shadow, so it's a fairly thin, like stream of water. And then maybe these are the highlights reflecting the light or like the sky. Maybe then there is some stuff here too. Maybe not like actually center, but like so we can do that. And then if we want to, we can do the films that will actually go on top. maybe separate streams of water. I can leave like some stuff on top of the water when it's going. So it can be something like that. More anime. It can be thin and smooth, more cartoony. So maybe it's something like that. Mm -hmm. Or maybe we can just go so like changing the composition between the films, kind of, I don't know, blocks of film. And then we can have a shadow, like maybe just a general shadow or just a shadow. There is a shadow here, kind of showing the water moving and some stuff. Maybe there is a shadow here with like the same function. Something more like, where was that? Something more like this, the middle part, and kind of separate the different water sections. And then just a couple things like that going here and there with the water. So I can do things like that too. And then for this stuff, I think it can be longer, so it doesn't have to stop. So right now it kind of reaches some point and stops. We can let it go and just slow it down and make sure that it goes on the same plane, because right now it kind of changes the perspective a bit. So the perspective that it should follow is something like this. So we can keep it longer, keep more sections of it, so that it keeps the silhouette, doesn't only leave one bit. And for the foam, we can change the silhouette more. It kind of keeps the silhouette all the time. So we can let some parts like this go bigger, then break it into particles, and then maybe the center gets bigger. Maybe then there is the right stuff get bigger. And have more like big changes in the foam, so that we can really read that. I think this has some pretty good changes. So sometimes it's big, sometimes it's wide, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there. And having that, it does help. So all of the things you can keep in mind. And then when the water decreases in volume, if you've ever tried to pour water in a cup, when there is a lot of water, the stream can be angled. But when there is a little water, the stream falls. So what we need to do here is not just decrease the stream, but also straighten it. Because as the water runs out, it cannot go at like a heavy angle because there is no pressure. So it needs to go closer to the pipe. And we can also change the shadows because the stream changes. And that's a perfect time to introduce some changes in the shadow and the form. So it becomes less stable, maybe. And it basically, yeah, the angle changes. You can see a bit of that here at the end. So it was diagonal and then it becomes a bit more straight. That's normal. I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully that helps. Wish you good luck with the animations and see you later. Bye bye.